And no matter what we're going through, there is always a thread of light in everything. And the thread of light that I see in this particular time frame and going forward is when we have Neptune moving into gate 25, line 4. And that's going to be happening for a while from April 30th right until June 8th. And so that is something that we can sort of look towards as we move forward, but we have to get there. Since this is quite a busy month, I thought I'd pop in and have a little chat about some of the upcoming transits that we can expect to be seeing in the future. And this will be happening basically today is one. That'll be Saturn is going into gate 36. And then we have other ones that I'll talk about that are coming a little bit further into the future. But I thought it was something that was worth talking about just to give everybody a heads up on the energy. Energy has been, as everybody has been feeling, quite intense, and it depends upon how much you plug into it. Basically, the transits plug into your body graph on how much you're feeling it. But in general, I mean, we're either in the audience or on stage, and so we're definitely part of the energy as it is and as it's moving through. And right now we know that this is a pivotal time in history in the world. We're very, very close to 2027. The mutation, the cross of planning is fading, and I wouldn't even say it's fading at this point. It's full on crumbling. It's very obvious in everything that we see and look at. But there's nothing to be scared of, and that was one of the things that Ra Uru talked a lot about with a bit of information about what the transits potentially might bring. I think that that can sometimes give some clarity, and it can also give some sense of we might have had a heads up on this happening. And so I feel like right now it's a very pivotal time, especially with Saturn moving into gate 36. Why that is the case is because we had Neptune moving through gate 36 for the last couple of years and really doing a lot of transformation. And, Neptune and Pluto are really the big players when it comes to the human design transits and how it's sort of affecting the world around us. And of course, Uranus is a big player as well. And that is like sort of like a once in a generational kind of energy that comes with us. And right now, Uranus is part of, you could say, the energy that is kind of gone a little tilted. Um, I'm a big fan of Uranus as gate 23 as clicking into, if you have a hanging gate 43 in a personal body graph, a personal transit, because I've been having that and I found that if anything, it's great for intuition and the knowingness that can come with it. So I think in that respect, I think it's lovely. I really enjoyed it. And am enjoying it. But as a global perspective, I think it has been a little bit difficult. If you look at the keywords for Gate 23, one of the main words is amorality. And the one thing that we can talk about in that whole perspective of amorality is this idea that when progress comes, when change comes, when mutation comes, it doesn't care about people's jobs. It doesn't care about, the people. It cares about progress. It cares about mutation. It cares about moving forward. And that's what it does. And so when you're in a position where we all are, we're the cross of planning and community and, partnerships and, you go to work and then you have your vacations and now it suddenly becomes this idea of we're clearing out everything. Mutation is coming through. And, the thing about mutation is we really never know what it's going to look like. And keep in mind that, you know, mutation as such is something that is coming in as a brand new idea, a brand new concept, a spark. And it's only up to the collective to either decide to adopt it or not. And if they don't adopt it, then it can fade into nothingness. But um, if you do decide to adopt the collective, and this is like the collective consciousness, the whole, this is not one or two people, but that is when it becomes part of, what we know. And so, for instance, you could say mutation happened when the computers became a thing and PCs became a thing. And then the next mutation would have been when Apple came into play with iPhones and so forth. And we are moving into potentially another mutation, tech-wise. But I think as well as that, we also have this other mutation that's coming in where we're in this point of decrease. And Pluto was in gate 60 before it was in gate 41, which was really talking about limitation. It was saying, okay, this is what you have. How are you going to make use of what you have in this moment? And, you know, it was preparing us all for when we really got into the actual pruning part, where we're really having to get rid of a lot of stuff is where we're right now. It's like this whirlwind of energy that has come in and just getting rid of so many different things. This is what happens in the beginning of a cycle. We get rid of a lot of the old stuff. And yet we're not fully in this new cycle yet because Pluto Gate 41 is only going to be there for a certain period of time, and then it's going to go back into Gate 60, line 6. So from August 20th, 2025, right until December 4th, 2025, Pluto's going to go back into Gate 60, line 6, and then finally it's going to move into Gate 41, and it's going to be in there for several years after that. And so it's getting ready to give us the final message because, this is a big transit. Over 200 years, 200, about 248 years, this is how long this transit is. So it's going to give us the message. It's going to let us know that this is what's happening. And so when I look at Gate 60, line 6, we know that we're always looking into the future. We're looking into the future or the next gate in the mandala. And the next gate is Gate 41, where it is now. And so Gate 60, line 6 is saying we have limitation related to decrease. And so you marry those two together, it does bode for a time potentially of things being less, having less things, having less, we could say anything. And so if there's anything to be said about this potential transit coming up, I would say prepare for if there is less, if there is issues with global supply chains, those types of things. I don't know that there will be, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Gate 36 is all about expectation. It's all about connecting with progress, about trying to get filled up with something. And this is where we are at now. And everybody is expecting something to happen. And, when Saturn comes into Gate 36 today, March 16th, then it's really going to be where the rubber hits the road. And expectation is going to probably get a lot more. Now, Saturn is the type of energy that we have to learn the lesson. We have to learn the lesson so that we can get the gifts. And what is the lesson here? The lesson is to say, you can only live in the moment that you're in right now. There's nothing more than that. And, if you look at this as having potential, and maybe someday it can be something amazing, a goal, a dream connected to Gate 41. But to put all your energy into that being that thing that you want it to be, then that's what Saturn's going to say, okay, if you're going to have all these expectations, you may not get what you think you're going to get. And ultimately, this is the truth. And with Pluto in Gate 41, the truth is that it is a time for things falling away. It is a time for pruning. It is a time for the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. And we're sort of in that flux in between those two energies where we're moving from the Gate 41 back to Gate 60. It is a time of great movements of energy and the dust will settle. But really, because we're moving into a new global cycle, it probably won't settle into this pattern energy that we've always come to know because we're moving out of patterns into more individuality. We're moving into the concept of taking care of ourselves and looking to ourselves. And I think if you look at the political system in a lot of places in the world, you will see that a lot of people are disappointed in their governments. They're disappointed in their leaders. I'm not saying all, but I think that there's a strong percentage. And so what it's saying is that we are now moving into a time of being our own authorities for sure. This is why human design is here. Our own authorities, making our own decisions, looking at all the information that's all around us and deciding what is true for me and how will I use it to progress in my future. And if you have intuition to tell you to do something, this is a time to align with that as much as possible. Saturn in Gate 36 is, I would say, karma has entered the chat because this is basically saying that all those people who are aligning with something that isn't their truth, with something that they don't necessarily believe in, with something that they're doing because they're scared that, if they don't align with this or that or the other thing, that something will happen. Or alternatively, they're aligning with something because they expect they're going to get gifts and wonderful things will come their way. Well, karma with Saturn in Gate 36, it says, no, you probably won't get what you think you're going to get. And it really is encouraging us to align with our own truth. And that doesn't mean you have to stand in the middle of the street and tell everybody what your truth is. That's not what this is saying. It is talking about the idea of just walking in your own integrity, in your own authenticity, and in your own truth. It is about making the decisions that are best for you and aligning with people that you feel that you can trust. Because Saturn is basically going to give a lot of lessons, I think, for those people who have basically, for lack of a better word, sold their soul to gain riches. And that sounds a little dramatic, but that's what it feels like. This feels like a super important time that we're going to be going through. And Saturn's going to be in gate 36 right until May 4th, and that'll be the first round. It'll come later on. So we will get a lot of energy. And I look at it as karmic because it is connecting to the nodes. We do have the North Node in gate 36. So it is a time of karma. And then we also have Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. And we're in a position where things are not going the way they usually go. And on March 22nd, 2025, Mars will finally move out of gate 53. It's been there for a very long time. It's going to move into gate 62. It's going to link up with gate 17, where Mercury will be. So watch the stock market because I look at Mars as being a very aggressive and hasty and maybe even emotional. But also, I would also look at, for instance, it is in detriment in gate 62, line 1, is called routine. And in detriment, it says rebellion and its enormous waste of energy, the need for expression, which ignores the details. This is really talking about the idea that rebellion is based on just emotional energy and really not based on anything of value, because a true rebellion or revolution comes from the concept that you want something, you have a cause. There's a good reason for you to rebel. It's not because you just get frustrated with life. It is more about there is a destination, there is something that you want, something better. And this is just going out and rebelling no matter what and not really thinking about the consequences. And so this may be something that we see both globally and personally. And also on the 26th of March, we will finally see the end of Uranus in gate 23. And as I said, I probably will be I'll miss it myself because I do find it is great for intuition and downloads and all those kinds of things. But I think for the world, I think it'll be better with Uranus moving on to greener pastures. And it will be going into gate 8, and we will see how that plays out. And another key date that I'm looking at, and that's when Saturn moves into gate 36, line 6, where it's in detriment. And that may be a bit of a hot spot. And that's going to be from April 26th right until May 4th. And then I'm looking at this energy where Neptune's moving into gate 25, line 4, and this feels like it might be a little bit of breath of fresh air, a little bit of levity, a little bit of maybe even peace, or an ability just to have a moment of uh, something other than what we've been experiencing since end of January when the nodes moved into gate 36 and 6. And that will be kind of overlapping with Saturn moving into gate 36, line 6. And but then it will go beyond that. And so there might be still a lot of stuff going on, but this is giving something like a little bit of extra energy for something different. So it doesn't mean that everything gets calm and everything's wonderful and all the chaos and things that we've been working through goes away. But what it does mean is that there is a boost of energy, a boost of light, where maybe you could say there's a crack in all the things that have kind of led up to this moment where we finally start to see maybe there is something beyond what we see right in this moment. But we know there is, but it's giving us even more of a hint of what we might see in the future. And with that said, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I truly appreciate it. And I do hope you have a peaceful week ahead. Until next time, take care and bye for now.